"Don't touch me." That's what she hissed under her breath. Sharp enough to cut, quiet enough that only I heard it. Her smile plastered in place for the people around us. We were standing in a crowded living room, music pulsing low, glasses clinking, laughter ricocheting off the walls. She brushed my hand off her arm like it burned her, like my touch was poison, and for a moment I just stood there frozen, watching her slip back into the crowd, as though I was nothing but an inconvenience she had to shake off. It didn't make sense. We'd gone to that party together. We'd dressed up, driven there, walked in as a couple, and yet the second we crossed that threshold, I felt her detach. She was too focused on her phone, too eager to grab a drink, too busy with other people to look at me. Every time I tried to join her, she pulled away. Her tone clipped, her words short. And then she said it. "Don't touch me." In public, in front of friends, as if I was embarrassing her just by existing at her side. I told myself to let it go, at least for the night. I didn't want to cause a scene. I didn't want people whispering, looking at me like I was some clingy partner who couldn't read the room. So I smiled through gritted teeth, grabbed another drink, and laughed when people made jokes, even though my chest felt like it was being crushed. But later that night, I saw it. I had stepped out onto the patio to catch some air, the music inside muffled by the closed door, and that's when I saw her, half hidden in the dim light, near the back of the yard. She wasn't alone. He was there. Some guy I recognized vaguely from her work stories. Tall, confident, the kind of man who thought every room belonged to him. He had his hand on her waist, not casually, not innocently, firm, possessive, like he was already claiming what wasn't his. And the worst part, she didn't pull away. She laughed, tilted her head back, let him lean closer. The same waist she'd pushed my hand from hours earlier. She let him hold. The same closeness she had denied me. She gave to him freely. My stomach twisted, bile rising, my breath catching in my throat. I froze in the shadows, unable to look away. It was like watching my entire world slip into someone else's hands. I should have stormed over, should have ripped his hand off her, and demanded answers. But I did. I stood there, paralyzed, watching, memorizing the way she smiled at him, the way his thumbs stroked her side, the way they leaned in just a little too close. Eventually, someone called her name from inside. She jumped slightly, adjusted her dress, and slipped back into the party. He stayed outside a moment longer, smirking to himself, like a man who knew he had already won. I didn't follow her right away. I needed to breathe, needed to stop the shaking in my hands, the roar in my ear. When I finally went back inside, she was across the room, laughing with her friends, as if nothing had happened. When her eyes met mine, they flickered just for a second, but then she smiled as though daring me to say something, knowing I would. On the drive home, silence sat between us like a wall. I gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white, every word I wanted to say burning in my throat. She scrolled her phone, pretending I wasn't there. When we pulled into the driveway, she finally spoke. "Thanks for driving. I'm exhausted." And she walked inside without a backward glance. I sat in the car for a long time, staring at the dashboard, my chest hollow, the image of his hand on her waist, replayed again and again, searing itself into my memory. The next morning, she was all sweet, making coffee, humming softly, asking if I wanted eggs, like nothing had happened, like she hadn't carved me out of her world with 4 words and replaced me with someone else's touch. I didn't confront her, not yet, because I knew how it would go. She'd roll her eyes, call me paranoid, tell me I was reading too much into things. She'd cry, maybe accuse me of being controlling. I'd seen her use those tricks before, bending the truth until it snapped in her favor. No, I needed proof, something undeniable, so I started watching. At first it was subtle. I paid attention to her phone, the way her screen lit up late at night when she thought I was asleep. I noticed how she guarded it, keeping it face down, clutched tight. I caught glimpses, his name flashing across the screen. Little snippets of messages she swiped away too quickly for me to read. Then there were the excuses, more work dinners, more girls' nights, more trips that suddenly didn't add up when I checked the times, the location. Once she said she was out with her sister, but her sister posted photos from a different part of town entirely. I checked our shared account one night when she was asleep. There it was. Receipts. A dinner for two at an upscale restaurant I'd never been to. A hotel charge. A gift from a jewelry store. Men's cufflinks. Not women's jewelry. Expensive. Thoughtful. Not for me. Every discovery was like a dagger, but I stayed quiet, because each piece was building my case. The breaking point came when she slipped one night and forgot to cover her wrist. A faint red mark. Not from me. From his hand. Holding her just a little too tight. Claiming her in ways I had seen before but hadn't touched in months. I took photos, screenshots, notes, proof. She thought she was clever. Thought I was blind. But she didn't know that every move she made was being recorded. Every lie she told was being stacked against her. Her father's retirement party was coming up in 2 weeks. A big event. The whole family there. Friends. Colleagues. She had been excited for it. Talking about how important it was that I be there. How we needed to show everyone what a strong couple we were. I smiled, kissed her forehead, and told her I wouldn't miss it for the world. But inside I knew that was going to be the night. The night I stopped being silent. The night I stopped letting her control the narrative. The night I laid it all bare. Her lies, her betrayal, the proof she couldn't twist into anything else. She thought she'd buried me under her lie. But what she didn't know was that I was already digging my way out, carrying her secrets with me. Ready to bury her with them instead, and she had no idea what was coming. The night of her father's retirement party arrived, draped in the kind of warmth that only family gatherings create, at least to everyone else in that house. To me, the warmth was smoke covering fire, a veneer hiding the truth that I had carried in a folder tucked deep inside my jacket. The truth was heavy, heavier than the suit I wore, heavier than the smile I'd plastered across my face as we walked in together. She held my arm proudly, like she always did in front of family, her nails pressing into my sleeve just a little too hard, as though daring me to play my role convincingly. The house was buzzing. People clinked glasses, laughter spilled down the halls. The smell of roasted lamb and garlic bread filled the air. Her father looked younger than I'd ever seen him, cheeks red, laughing at every story people told about his career. Her mother glowed beside him, the proud wife of a man everyone respected. Her siblings swirled through the crowd, greeting old friends, introducing new ones, and she, my girlfriend, floated like the star of the show, laughing too loudly, hugging everyone a little too long, shining as if her sins weren't stitched into every inch of her skin. And then there was him. Yes, him. The same man I'd seen that night at the party, his hand gripping her waist while she smiled like a woman in love. He was there. Not family, not exactly a close friend, but invited nonetheless. He stood near the back, confident, glass in hand, scanning the room like he belonged. And when his eyes landed on her just briefly, I saw it. The flicker of recognition, the silent claim, and worse, I saw her see it too. That was the moment I knew I wasn't just imagining it, that everything I'd collected, screenshots, receipts, photos, late-night whispers recorded in silence, it wasn't paranoia, it was truth. Tonight, the truth would step out of my envelope and into the open, where she couldn't twist it into anything else. Dinner passed in a blur. I couldn't taste the food. My fork moved, my lips stretched into smiles, but my mind wasn't there. I was counting beats, counting minutes until the moment came. Toast started. Her brother stood first, his glass raised, telling jokes about their father teaching him to ride a bike. Everyone laughed. Her sister followed, sharing a story about their dad's advice during her first job. The room was full of warmth, of nostalgia. And then she stood. She raised her glass, her voice dripping with honey. To my father, she said, her eyes shimmering. The man who's always been my protector, my example of what it means to stand tall. She turned then, her gaze sweeping across the table before landing briefly on me. Her smile softened, practiced. And to my partner, for standing by me through everything. I wouldn't be who I am today without you. Applause. Cheers. Glasses lifted. She sat down, sliding her hand onto mine under the table, squeezing just enough to say, "See? They believe it. Don't you dare ruin this." That was my cue. I stood slowly. The scrape of my chair against the floor silenced the room. Conversations died mid-sentence. Her hand clamped harder on mine, nails digging into my skin. "Don't," she whispered fiercely, her eyes flashing panic. I pulled my hand free. "I'd like to say a few words," I said, my voice calm, but carrying. Her father smiled warmly. Of course, son. Please. I looked at him first. Tonight we celebrate a man who built his life on loyalty, on strength, on honesty. A man who taught his children what it means to honor commitments. I paused, scanning the room. Which makes this the perfect night to talk about what happens when those commitments are broken. Her smile cracked. Her eyes widened. A murmur rippled through the room. I reached into my jacket, pulled out the envelope, and laid it on the table. Thick, heavy. Her face went white. This, I said, pulling out the first photo, is her and him at a party 2 weeks ago. The same night she turned to me and hissed, "Don't touch." I held the photo high, her glowing, his hand gripping her waist. Gasps echoed through the room. She didn't want my touch, but his. That, she welcomed. Her mother's hand flew to her mouth. Her father's smile collapsed. Her siblings leaned forward, their faces pale. She shot up from her chair, shaking her head violently, tears spilling. "Stop. Please. Don't do this here." But I wasn't done. I pulled out the bank statements, laying them one by one across the table. "These," I said, "are the dinners for two at restaurants." She told me she was too busy to try. Hotels, when she said she was staying late at work. Jewelry, men's cufflinks, not mine, not ours, his. Her father slammed his fist on the table, the glasses rattling. "Is this true?" he roared, his voice shaking. She sobbed, clutching at the table. "It's not what it looks like. I swear it's not." I laid down the screenshots. Messages. Her words to him. "I miss you already." His reply. "Last night was perfect." The room erupted in gasps, whispers flying like daggers. Her mother sobbed openly. Her siblings muttered angrily, disbelief dripping from every word. And across the room he stood frozen, face red, caught in the fire. "She told me I was paranoid," I said, my voice sharp. "She told me I was imagining things, but paranoia doesn't leave photographs. Paranoia doesn't leave receipts. Paranoia doesn't whisper, 'I miss you already' to another man," while I sat at home believing her. Her knees buckled. She sank back into her chair sobbing, shaking her head, mascara streaking down her cheeks. "Please," she begged, her voice cracking. "Please don't do this. We can fix it. I'll end it. I'll prove it to you. Just don't leave me like this." Her father's face twisted with rage. "You brought this shame into my house," he spat, his voice trembling. "On the night we celebrate family, you desecrate it with lies." Her mother turned away, unable to even look at her. Her siblings shook their heads, muttering furiously. Cousins whispered, some glaring at her, others glaring at him. I gathered the papers back into the envelope, tucking them away with deliberate calm. I looked at her, really looked at her, and said, "You told me not to touch you, but you didn't say the same to him. Tonight, I touched the truth instead, and now everyone here sees it too." I set down my glass, straightened my jacket, and walked out. The noise behind me was chaos, her sobbing voice calling my name, her father shouting, her mother crying, chairs scraping, voices rising. The warmth of family celebration turned into the coldest reckoning. She stumbled after me, heels clicking frantically, grabbing my arm as I reached the door. "Please," she cried, collapsing against me. "Please don't leave me like this. I'll do anything. I'll get rid of him. I'll change. Just don't end us." I pulled free, my voice low but final. "You ended us the moment his hand on your waist meant more than mine ever did." I walked into the night, the air cool and sharp, every step lighter than the last. The fallout was merciless. Her family turned on her, humiliated, furious. Her father refused to speak to her. Her mother wept for weeks, ashamed of what she had done. Her siblings cut her off, refusing to answer her calls. And him, the man who thought he had won. He vanished the second the weight of exposure landed on his shoulders, retreating into silence, leaving her alone. She called me for weeks, messages swinging between rage and desperation. "You ruined me one day. Please. I love you. Don't leave me." The next. I ignored them all. I filed for separation. My lawyer flipped through the folder, nodding grimly. "This is more than enough," he said. And me. I walked away free. Scarred, yes. Changed forever, yes. But free. Even now I sometimes hear her voice in my head. "Don't touch me." But then I remember the sight of his hand on her waist, and I realize those words were never meant to push me away. They were meant to make room for him, and that's something I'll never forget.